Fire extinguishers. You see them in a wide variety of locations, in workplaces, public buildings, shopping malls, and even in homes. But have you ever thought about having to operate one in an emergency? There are important factors to consider, such as when to notify the fire department, the size of the fire, what is burning, and where to aim the extinguisher. The purpose of this video is to provide a brief overview of the types of fires, housekeeping tips, the correct use of fire extinguishers, emergency procedures, as well as handling flammable liquids and compressed gas cylinders. It's a lot of information, so please watch and listen carefully. It's important to know how to prevent fires as well as how to deal with emergencies. Because of the deadly danger of fire, you need to know how to size up a fire and how to respond quickly and correctly. What kind of fire is it? The National Fire Protection Association, NFPA, has classified 5 general types of fires based on the combustible materials involved and the kind of extinguisher needed to put them out. The 5 classifications are A, B, C, D, and K. Each classification has a special symbol and color identification except Class K. General classes of fires. Class A. This type of fire is the most common. The combustible materials are wood, cloth, paper, rubber, and plastics. The common extinguishing agent is water, but multi-purpose dry chemicals and halogenated agents are also effective. Do not use fire extinguishers that are not rated for Class A fires. Class B. Flammable liquids, gases, and greases create Class B fires. The correct extinguishers to use on Class B fires are foam, carbon dioxide, or dry chemical. Halogenated agent extinguishers can also be used. Class C. Because Class C fires are electrical fires, use a non-conducting agent to put them out. For example, carbon dioxide or dry chemical extinguishers. Never use foam or water-type extinguishers on these fires, or you could be electrocuted. Class D. Fires arising from combustible metals, such as magnesium, titanium, zirconium, and sodium are categorized as Class D fires. These fires require specialized techniques to extinguish them. None of the common extinguishers should be used, since they can increase the intensity of the fire by adding an additional chemical reaction. Class K. Class K fires are fires in cooking appliances that involve vegetable or animal oils and fats. The only fire extinguisher that's effective on these fires is a wet chemical fire extinguisher with a Class K rating. The most common fire extinguishers found in the workplace have a multi-purpose ABC rating. These extinguishers are effective on Class A, B, or C fires. Special extinguishers for Class D and Class K hazards are only required where those special hazards exist. Other specialized extinguishers may only be effective on a certain class of fire, such as foam-rated Class A and Class B, or carbon dioxide-rated Class B and Class C. It's important to know what type of fire extinguishers are available in your workplace, so be sure to read the label. Housekeeping to prevent fires. Good housekeeping ties in closely with fire prevention. If you allow debris or flammable material to accumulate, the risk of starting a fire increases. Keep equipment and materials in their proper locations, and make sure all exits, hallways, and corridors are kept clear. Not only is it a bad, safe work practice, but it's also a serious safety violation to block any emergency exits or electrical panels. In fact, fire codes require that they have 36 inches of clearance. The same applies to automatic fire sprinklers. They must have at least 18 inches of clearance to function properly in the event of a fire. It's not just good housekeeping, it's the law. It's everyone's job to help keep the work area clutter-free and safe from other fire hazards, such as improperly used or stored chemicals, which we will cover in a couple of minutes. Also, remember that smoking is only allowed in specially designated break areas. No exceptions. Your company has a written fire prevention plan, and it's critical that you know the actions you're expected to take in the event of a fire. Specific evacuation routes, plans, and procedures are posted at your location, If you're not sure where to go or what to do, ask your manager or supervisor to review this critical information. Make it a point to know where the fire extinguishers are located in your facility or office. They must be fully charged, in the green zone, and the inspection tag must be current. Your company has a monthly and yearly inspection plan, but fire extinguishers sometimes just lose pressure, so it doesn't hurt to check them often. Of course, report any problems immediately. If a fire starts, think first of your safety and the safety of others. Alert the fire department first, and then try to put out the fire only if you've been trained to use extinguishers and the fire is small and tame enough to be extinguished by a handheld extinguisher. If the fire is already out of control, the combustible material is unknown, or you have not been trained in the proper use of extinguishers, leave the firefighting to professionals with the proper equipment. Sound the fire alarm, then call for emergency help from a safe place. Fire checklist. Try not to panic. Although fire is a panic situation, when one panics, dangerous mistakes can be made. The calm person who assesses the extent of the blaze, calls the fire department, and acts quickly to contain or extinguish the blaze is the person acting responsibly. If the fire can be contained or extinguished, a properly trained person should use the right extinguisher on the blaze. When using a typical extinguisher, follow the pass method. Hold the extinguisher upright and stand back 8 or 10 feet and pull the pin. If you stand too close, the pressure from the extinguisher can actually spread the fire. Aim at the base of the fire. Squeeze the handle. Sweep at the base from side to side. If you aim high at the flames, you won't put out the fire. Remember, too, that most extinguishers have a very limited operation time, only 8 to 10 seconds, so you have to act fast and spray correctly at the base of the fire, not at smoke or flames. Remember PASS, or P-A-S-S. This is the best method for putting out a small fire. Be especially aware of smoke and noxious fumes. These fumes enter the lungs and leave a person unconscious and at the mercy of flames. All fires consume oxygen to burn. Most victims of a fire suffocate from lack of oxygen and die. They are already unconscious or dead before the flames consume them. Remember, when an extinguisher has been used, even partially, it must be serviced and refilled by a professional. The chemical fire. On the job, it's part of your responsibility to help prevent fires. Extreme care is especially important when working with chemicals such as flammable solvents, gasoline, gases, and fuels. A number of the chemicals used in the workplace are both highly toxic and highly volatile. Extreme caution must be used to prevent and fight fires resulting from chemical spills and accidents. Know the hazards of the chemical substances you use on the job and how to handle and store them properly to prevent dangerous chemical fires. Chemical hazards. Chemicals can cause serious injuries through physical or health hazards, such as fire or explosion, or burns or poisons. Many chemicals have inherent properties that make them very hazardous. They might include flammability. These chemicals catch fire very easily. Hazards include property damage, burns, and injuries that result when toxic and corrosive compounds are released into the air. Reactivity. A reactive material is one that can undergo a chemical reaction under certain conditions. Reactive substances can burn, explode, or release toxic vapor if exposed to other chemicals, air, or water. Explosivity. An explosive is a substance which undergoes a very rapid chemical change, producing large amounts of gas and heat. Explosions can also occur as a result of reactions between chemicals, not ordinarily considered explosive. Handling flammable liquids. Flammable liquids give off ignitable vapors, and there are many ignition sources. Also, nearly all flammable liquid vapors are heavier than air and will accumulate when they escape. They are dangerous at that point, but when they accumulate sufficiently, they travel and eventually find open flame. These flames, or ignition sources, might be cigarettes, a hand tool that sparks, a cutting torch, or an operating motor. Transfer of flammable liquids refers to their removal from storage to the places where they will be used. Liquids can be dispensed from drums by two methods: gravity flow for drums stored horizontally and pump method for drums stored vertically. The typical workplace stores flammable liquids in two ways: reserve storage in drums and storage in small quantities for use at workstations. For reserve storage safety, as soon as a drum is unloaded, the bung cap should be removed and a drum vent screwed in. This prevents buildup if the drum is exposed to heat. Proper vents also incorporate emergency relief devices, which blow out under extreme pressure. Drums also should be connected to a grounding system. This eliminates static electrical buildup when dispensing from the drum. If your plant does not have a drum storage room, drums should be stored in a safety cabinet. They are available in sizes to hold drums vertically and horizontally. The handling stage is workstation operations, when you're using flammable liquids as you work. There are many workstation cans and tanks from which to choose. Liquids should be stored in safety cabinets near the workstation. Disposing of waste flammable liquids requires as much caution in handling as do any of the other stages. Oily solvent-soaked rags can easily start a fire through spontaneous combustion. To prevent this, specially designed waste cans should always be used for temporary storage. These cans can have spring-loaded lids and a raised bottom with vent holes to dispense heat. For removing flammable liquids from the workstation for disposal, drain cans and liquid disposal cans offer the greatest degree of safety. Spill cleanup. It is the vapors rather than the liquid itself that burn. When the liquid is spilled, vapor release begins immediately and continues until the liquid is removed. This requires that cleanup operations begin at once. Specially developed absorbent materials have been developed for spill cleanup. These products are offered in pillows, pads, sheets, tubes, and other shapes to fit all cleanup needs. Once the absorbent material is saturated, it should be placed in a large disposal drum and sealed with a drum cover. Compressed and liquefied gases. The flash point of compressed flammable gases are extremely low and always below room temperature. Explosive mixtures are readily formed with air. Ignition of even a small leak may cause the materials to ignite. To avoid fires resulting from ignition of compressed gases, never roll or drag cylinders when gases are stored, transported, or used. Use a handcart or truck specially designed for gas cylinders. Store all cylinders upright and secure them to walls or bench tops during storage or use. Compressed gases should be stored in dry, cool, and well-ventilated areas, protected from the weather and away from flammable materials. The area should be posted for no smoking. Keep compressed gas cylinders, which contain oxygen, away from oil, grease, or liquid flammables. Separate fuel and oxidizing gas cylinders by at least 20 feet or a firewall. Be careful about fittings or connections. Before any connections are made, inspect the cylinder carefully. Do not change, modify, repair, or tamper with the pressure relief devices on cylinders. During welding or cutting operations, keep the work area clear of debris and keep a fire extinguisher nearby. Talk to your supervisor if you have any questions or concerns. Wrap up. Any fire in the workplace has the potential to cause serious personal or property damage. When chemicals are involved, the possibilities for destruction are greatly multiplied. Prevention is the key to eliminating the hazards of any kind of fire where you work, and preparation is the key to controlling the consequences of a fire. Remember to keep work areas clean and clutter-free. Know how to handle and store chemicals. Know what you're expected to do in case of a fire emergency. Call the fire department immediately. Don't let a fire get out of control. For fire extinguishers, remember PASS. Pull the pin, aim the nozzle, and sweep from side to side. Know what chemicals you work with. You might have to advise firefighters on the scene of a chemical fire concerning the type of hazardous substances involved. Make sure you're familiar with your company's emergency action plan for fires. Thank you for your attention, and work safely.